Hey, it's Buddhabella here, and welcome to part 1 of my Make Your Own VR Controller Interaction plugin tutorial. I will be using Unreal Engine version 4.24.2 for this video, but any of the recent versions should work just fine. This will be a blueprint tutorial. I may use or convert it to a C++ tutorial later, but for now I'm just going to stick to blueprints. That being said, there will be some uh, C++ stuff that you will need to do just for setting it up. Uh, so you will need the latest version, or not the latest version, but a version of Visual Studio as well. If you don't have that, you can go to the Visual Studio website and download the latest one, uh, the latest community edition for free. So to get started, I created a new project using the VR template. Uh, it is of type blueprint only, so I'll show you how to convert it to a C++ project afterwards. So when you get it, when you create your project and it is done, once you have all your shaders done compiling, you can, uh, you'll find your content folder. In your content folder, right click and create a new C++ class. It could be of type none. We just want to convert this to a C++ project. You can leave it as my class or change it to something like delete me so that you know to delete it later. So you can, once you have all that done, press create class. It is going to generate the project files for it. It may take a while because it's converting it to a C++ project. Once it's done, it will open Visual Studio. You can just ignore that for now. And go back to the editor. In the editor, you want to click on Edit. I guess it has to finish loading Visual Studio before we can do anything. So click on Edit, choose Plugins. Here is all your built-in plugins and all your installed plugins. To create a new plugin, in the bottom right corner, you will see a green button that says New Plugin. So click that. If you only see content only here, then you didn't create a C++ class correctly. And it may be because you don't have Visual Studio or something. I'm not too sure. But you want to create a C++ class so that you can get these other templates. You may have it there even without it. I did not, so I had to create a C++ class to get them. Um, the one we want to use is blank. If you do content only, then when I did content only, I was not able to create any C++ classes. So just click on blank. Down here you can give your plugin its name. I'm going to name it VR Controller Interactions. For author, use your team name, your alias, your name, whatever you want to put there. I'm putting Buddhabelly. Under the description, it is just a short description of the plugin, so mine will be plugin for basic VR controller interactions. The author URL is if you have a website that you want to share for other content that you've made, you just put it in there. I'm going to click that it is a beta version. Since we haven't released it yet, we're just starting on this plugin. I don't want to forget that it is brand new. So I'm going to click beta version and then create plugin. It should generate the code needed for that, and then it should open up Visual Studio if it's not open, or just it'll have it there for when you switch to it. Should say that it was created successfully. Switch to Visual Studio. Uh, I don't know if you'll get this. If you do, just hit reload all. Alright, and then when you have that, you can close out of the uh, the C++ class stuff that we created, and then you should have this VR interactions build.cs. If you don't have that up, if you come over to the side where your Solution Explorer is, under the Games folder, and then under your Project folder, in the Source folder, uh, keep dropping down, and then you'll find the C# for VR interactions.build.cs file. Here, the only thing we want to do in this file is we want to add the plugin to the public dependencies modules. So you can just add a comma here and then make some quotations. And then also over here you will see under the plugins folder your plugin name. You want the exact spelling, so what I like to do is highlight it. You can hit F2 or right click and rename. It will highlight the whole name. Hit Control C to copy it, go in between the quotation marks, and hit Control V to paste it. And then you can save it. Um, the next thing you want is the plugin.u plugin file. If you click on that, you should see this. Uh, all this you should be able to edit in the editor, so I'm not going to mess with that here. But the file version, the version number, and then these experimental version installed and modules you will not see. Um, if you go back to your plugins folder, you will see that there is now a project section, and in this project section is uh, your plugin that you just created. I like to put it in the installed, but what I think this is doing is adding it to your actual engine uh, plugins. So if you want to leave it in your project specific, go ahead and just leave it how it is. If you want to move it to your engine, go ahead and follow the next steps. What we're going to do is on this line where it says installed, change it to true. And then you want to make sure that this says runtime. If it says develop, that means that it will only run in the editor. The plugin will only run in the editor, and it will only run in development builds. If it says runtime, it will run in those as well as a release build. So go ahead and save that and compile. We want to compile it just to make sure everything was set up properly. It should succeed. It will not change until you close out of the editor and open it again. What it needs to do is it needs to refresh the binaries and the intermediate folder so that you can get uh, so that it can update properly. I did not close it. So you should get this notification. You may get new plugins available as well. Just click update, then go to edit and plugins, and you should see your plugin under installed. Now from here, before we do that, here you'll see if you check beta, it'll say beta. If you uh, you'll see your version number there. I'm about to change that. You'll see the author name that you put. It is enabled by default since you just created it. So you can click on edit. Here you can change your icon. If you have one, you can drag and drop it from the Explorer, or you can click the three dots and then navigate to where it's located and select it from there. I am going to, in the details, change the version name to 0.1 since it's the first iteration. The friendly name, I think, is, I believe it's just a easier way of reading it. If you want to add spaces in here, it'll be fine. Like in Substance and UE4, it has the spaces. I do not believe it changes the plugin name, so it should be fine to change it. Your description, you already put that in there before. The category, that is this name right here. Uh, if you want to change it to editor, I can't spell, editor, and hit OK, it has moved your plugin to the editor category. But if you change it to something else, I'm going to use VR. Now it's in a VR category, and if you have other plugins, if you give it the same category name, then it will be there as well. Created by, that is your author name. Created by URL, that's the same URL as before that I said. If you have a website that you want to show off other work, put the URL there. If you have it in the marketplace, put your URL there. Any documentation for the plugin or support website for the plugin, you can put those URLs there. You want can contain content checked, and again, it's up to you if you want beta version checked or not. All it's going to do is have right here, right by the version number, that it is in beta. When you're done with all that, click OK, and then you can close out the plugins menu. You'll see here that we have a plugins content folder now. Well, your plugin name content. What I like to do first is create a C++ class in it so that I make sure, or so that I can make sure that it is created properly, and then also so that you can make sure that it is a C++ plugin if you ever want it to be. Uh, what I like to do is just add a actor component. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it delete me. I guess it's already in use. So delete this, delete tray this, we'll just leave it like that. And click the drop down and make sure you have your plugin selected. It will automatically update the path to your plugin source folder, and then just hit create class. This will fail. I don't know why it always fails whenever I create the first C++ class to begin with. You can click yes when this window comes up, and it will show you something similar to this. You can ignore that. The only thing you need to do is just go back into Visual Studio and compile it again, and it should succeed. Yep, it succeeded. Alright, from here, if you go back to your content browser, you'll notice that you do not see that C++ class. The only thing you need to do is close out of the editor and open it again. Now that you've opened it again, you will see your C++ classes folder here for your plugin. Just keep going down the folders and then you will find your class you just created. I just created delete tray this. Uh, so we know that it is set up properly for the C++ classes. Now let's make sure that it is set up properly for the use of the project. So go in your content folder, create a new folder for blueprints, go in that folder and create a new blueprint class of type actor. You can keep this if you want. Uh, I'm going to delete it after this video. Um, so I'm going to name it delete me. Go into that actor. It's just going to be an empty actor. Nothing's needed. Uh, just go in the event graph and for event begin play, drag off the execution pin and type print. Going to use a print string node. You can leave it as hello or name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it something very specific so that we know it is this being printed. Begin play for plugin reached. And then compile that. You can close it. Find it again in the content folder if it's not there. Drag it into the level. You can just hit play or you can do the drop down and hit simulate. And you will see in the top, begin play for the plugin has been reached. And there you have it. You have your plugin created. Uh, if you want to delete it, it's not saved, so you can just make sure it's not on the level. Delete it from here. If you want to delete that C++ class, you have to do it in the File Explorer. So you can just right click on that C++ class and do Show in Explorer. A window will pop up. Mine came up off screen and it's really big. Just click on it and delete. And then you can close it. It's going to stay here. Once you close the editor and open it again, it'll refresh and that won't be there anymore. If your C++ classes folder goes away, that's alright. You know that it'll work if you create another C++ class. Thanks for watching the video. I'm going to end it here. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up below, and if you would like to see more, subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload more content. I'm going to try and upload content, if not weekly, every few days for this plugin. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day.